But we worked with our first manufacturer who was selling products internationally. And so we're advertising in trade publications and things. And I just thought, whoa, this is way more fun, more interesting, and more lucrative.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Growth and Scaling Podcast. I'm your host, Todd Westra, and I love today's episode for several reasons. First of all, the founder of this business has been doing it for 34 years. That's right, longer than most of you have been alive, he's been running his agency. And he runs a marketing agency. And not all agencies are built the same way. His is unique. It started from, he's going to give his whole creation story of the business, but you're going to love where he started from, where he's at now, and what I think is most important for the listeners today is going to be the discussion on how he determined what niche he wanted to work with, what industry he helps, the types of clients that he works with right now. It's incredibly important for you. If you are someone who is in the growth journey right now and you've started a business, you're trying to figure out where to hone in and find that next level of growth, this is a great conversation because after 34 years of business, he's been able to find ways to grow and scale that both saved him money and grew his business in a way that he didn't think he could do until he actually did it. And so it's a fun story. He helps huge companies with their marketing and messaging. He deals primarily with manufacturers. And so if you have some connection with that world, you're going to love today's episode. I think whether or not you do or don't, you're going to love the episode because his growth story is so fun. And he's just a darn likable guy. Jim Huebner is going to be our guest today, and I hope you enjoy this episode. We will see you on the flip side of this interview. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Growth and Scaling Podcast. Today's guest is one of my favorite types of guests because they are in the business of helping other businesses grow their business, which is awesome. So today we're going to jump in. Jim, tell us who you are and who do you like to serve with your business?
My name is Jim Huebner, and I started an agency 34 years ago. And work mainly in the manufacturing space with manufacturers and their dealer networks or distribution channels, and all about trying to make them as relevant as possible to their customers and help them guide them through that process and staying relevant.
I love it.
And then like 5 years ago, we partnered with a team that we were using a lot over in India, and I became part owner of that company as well. And
cool.
And we outsource their services to agencies all over the world, really. That's White Label IQ. So Huebner Marketing's the agency. White Label IQ is our wholesale division, and then we have a SaaS product too that we're just launching, marketinghub.com, and it's a DAM plus a lead management system mainly for manufacturers and their sales channels. So everything though has all been focused all 34 years and just trying to make marketers' lives easier. That's kind of what our mantra is around here. So
I love it. Well, we had your partner on the show not too long ago. Then we had White Label IQ as a familiar name around these parts.
Yeah. So Brian is the president of our White Label company.
Love it.
And he does a great job. Really smart. I always tell people he's probably the smartest person I've ever worked with.
I love it.
He's brilliant. Yeah. So
no, it's good stuff. It's good stuff. I have a background in outsourcing as well. We started an agency in 2008 after outsourcing in 2006.
Yep.
And in the Philippines. And I appreciate your story because I've kind of been there, done that with this whole experience. And so tell me about, that's one side of the business, but tell me about, you've been doing this agency thing for 34 years. That's a long time to be doing one business.
It's a long time. That's why I don't have any hair anymore.
Right. But tell me, how are you staying with the business that long, and how do you feel motivated to continue to serve the types of clients that you serve? Well, what is it about it that you like?
Well, the awesome thing about the agency business is there's never a dull moment, as my grandma used to say. And it's always something new. The challenges are new. And staying relevant on our side is always right before us,
right?
And then helping our clients stay relevant,
right?
Is always it's a never-ending process. I have I have a kind of a framework we use. It's GIVE, G-I-V-E, and E is endless quest. There's an endless quest that needs to be going on in every company, including ours, to stay relevant. And as challenging as that is, it's also the exciting part.
Well, I love it. In terms of being relevant, you've got a book on this, right? I mean, talk to us about the book.
Yeah. It's right over here. The Irrelevant Old Brand. It's basically a compilation of just my stories from the past told in a business stable format.
Love it.
Through the eyes of a consultant who's working with a company who's been around for a long time, successful company, but they're starting to lose some traction.
Love it.
And they kind of lost their way. And just how through what we call the relevancy report is our process, and then building out a relevancy roadmap. It's the way that we help clients kind of build some direction toward staying relevant,
right?
To being relevant, but also staying relevant. Yeah,
I love it. That's a hard thing to do, and you having operated your business for as long as you have, know that just as in most industries, marketing has changed. A lot.
Oh my gosh, it's ridiculous.
I mean, you probably wouldn't recognize it from when you started it, right?
No. So I started in the living room of my duplex that my wife and I lived in.
Love it.
And I had a card table out, and I was cutting out ruby lith and amber lith for sales tabloids for my car dealership that we were doing marketing for.
Love it.
With an X-Acto knife. To today,
it's crazy.
Trying to figure out how we're integrating AI into copywriting,
blog writing, and copywriting.
So yeah, it's insane. It's hard to imagine. I'm sure there are other industries that have changed, that have seen that much change. But in 34 years, to think
marketing has come a long way.
How far it's come, it's amazing. And honestly, it's just been a blast to ride.
Yeah.
The agency business, as you know, it's a roller coaster.
Yeah.
If you think you're not signing up for a roller coaster, you better think again, because it is a roller coaster.
Agreed.
My wife will attest to that.
Agreed.
At the same time, there's no better highs.
Yeah.
Maybe no better lows, but it is a roller coaster, and that's, as long as you recognize that's what you're signing up for, it's awesome.
Well,
I'm so glad and thankful that I found this, this business, this type of business, because it really was what I was wired for.
And how did you land with manufacturers? I mean, what's kind of the story there, and what types of manufacturers are you talking about? What does the typical client look like for you?
It's funny because how I landed there, I look back, I read an article once that said, basically, if you want to know what you should be doing in life, look back to what you were doing when you were like between 6 and 10 years old. What were you interested in? And I loved making machines. Just, I wasn't like an engineer, but I loved the idea of machines, and I love the idea of retail. I'll never forget, I was at my friend's house one time, and his mom had this little store set up in their basement. I said, "What's this all about?" And she goes, "Well, she has ladies come in and buy stuff from her." I go, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "It's a store. It's like a store in our house." I said, "Well, how does she make money?" He goes, "She buys it for $5 and sells it for $10. And I was my mind was blown. I was like, "Whoa! Are you kidding me?" And I've had a passion for retail ever since then. I love the idea of adding value, to here's the cost. But and actually that's one of the 4 pieces of relevancy is the more something is valued over what it costs, the more relevant it probably and must be in the eyes of those customers. So anyway, I got off track. What the original question
I like that.
Was how did I go down that? Yeah. How did we get manufacturers? I just love manufacturing. And we were doing a lot of local stuff for clients, a bank, a car dealer, optometrists, and we just had a whole bunch of mix of clients, insurance companies. But we worked with our first manufacturer who was selling products internationally. And so we're advertising in trade publications and things. And I thought, whoa, this is way more fun, more interesting, and more lucrative. We need to do this. So that's kind of the path. We just decided, we'd been told early on, you got to find a niche, and that was a niche we had a passion for and loved.
Why not?
So that's what we did. Yeah.
Good for you. Yeah. Good for you. Now let's take a step back then. Now that we know what you do, who you serve, tell us about your growth journey. I mean, it's more than you and your wife in your living room, right? In the duplex?
Fortunately, it is.
Yeah.
Now it's just a whole bunch.
Good.
Now it's just a whole bunch of us in our living room. No,
I love it. I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's kind of changed, hasn't it?
It's changed. Yeah. So but we're still small. We have 12 here in the U.S. 12, 13. Might have added just added 14. But still small. And then we do have 70 in India, and we outsource, all of production, most of the creative, some creative direction is done here, but most of it's done over there just for cost effectiveness issues for our clients' benefit. Yeah. So the growth is really, it's been this cycle of being between, 5 and 20 people the whole time.
Yeah.
At different times and like I said before, the agency business is a roller coaster. You can have solved the greatest challenges for your clients as there are, been as effective as you could possibly be, and still lose a client because a marketing director comes in and has a brother-in-law in the business, or has, more than other businesses. I think it really is. That's part of the roller coaster. Is there's a lot out of your control, and that's why there's just this constant push to just be great. And hopefully that greatness will carry you through some of those situations. Some you have no control over, but other ones, as a new marketing director comes in, for example, if there's enough love and support for what we've been doing, maybe we'll be able to keep that person. Most of the time we don't.
Interesting.
Yeah, most of the time we don't, but sometimes we do. Yeah.
Hey there, friends. This is Todd. Running a business, honestly, can leave a lot of founders and operators feeling lonely and isolated. If you have ever felt that way, trust me, I know what it feels like. And there is something you can do about it. You've heard a lot of our guests talk about the fact that being lonely and isolated is one of their biggest challenges in trying to run and scale their business. captainscouncil.com. Go to captainscouncil.com right now and see what we're doing to resolve this problem. We want you to be a strong operator who has solutions and has a way to get around the challenges you're currently facing. What most founders don't understand is that you're not alone. The challenges that you're facing, likely somebody else has already overcome, and they can give you the feedback you need to overcome them. Who better than your peers, other founders, other operators who are joining with you in a small group setting, a global community setting, as well as at our in-person events to guide you through these challenges that you're facing right now. Don't give up, keep on pushing, but do it with some good advice from your peers. Go check it out at captainscouncil.com and let me know what you think about the offering. We can't wait to see you there. Interesting. So that's an interesting dynamic that a lot of people don't think about if I'm out there being solicited by marketing agencies to come and do work for me and my company, they've got to play well with my internal marketing people.
For sure.
Right? I mean, if that relationship's not working, sometimes the whole agency relationship just disappears.
Yeah.
How do you deal with that? What is that? I mean, would that rank pretty high among your most common challenges, or what? How do you deal with this?
Well, what can I say publicly about how I deal with it? I'm not a cussing man, so I don't swear a lot. But
there you go.
It was frustrating. I think again, it's just perspective. You have to say two things. You have to give it your all. You can't.
Right.
You don't want to regret not having given it your all.
Right.
When you lose a client. If you did everything you can do, then you just have to say, okay, it's out of my hands. I mean, I did everything I could do, and you don't beat yourself up over it. And that's, in the end, is the whole key. Is just doing the best you can do, and so that you have no regrets at the end of the day, no matter what happens. So then
that's great advice.
Yeah, and you lose the client, and you know the temptation is to sit there and trash them and badmouth them or whatever. But the reality is, we all do the same thing. I mean,
we do.
If my brother-in-law or my best friend from college or whatever is going to do something, I'm probably not going to use all rationale, practicality and rationale to make a good decision. I'm just going to go with them because I trust them and love them and know them. And so I get it. It's not like I don't get it, but it still
sucks.
It's a hard part of our business. It really is. And you just got to keep perspective. And again, do the best you can do. Don't leave no stone unturned. And then in the end of the day.
So given you're in the agency business, you know, a lot of founders that I talk to have the same types of questions over and over again regarding agencies in particular. And those questions are, you know, how do I find the right agency that understands me? How do I know when I'm getting screwed over? Like at what length of time do I need to work with an agency before I know that what they're doing is not working? How do you kind of coach people through that relationship model with an agency? Because it can get confusing sometimes.
Yeah, that's a tough one because I think all relationships have their own little quirks to them and expectations and needs and desires and so it really comes down to, you know, number one, what is measurable and how are we doing, you know? Can we measure return on investment? And some, you know, there's some agencies that say you measure return on investment on everything, and you can't. There's plain and simple some things you can't measure it on, at least initially. Over time, maybe you can. But those things that you can measure are pretty easy. You know, PPC, you know, any direct response type measures, you can see if it's working or not. And then a lot of it is chemistry, and you got to, you know, in the end too. Do I love the ideas that they're bringing me? Do they understand strategically? And that's one of the things you find a lot of marketing agencies, a lot of agencies, and I started out this way. I started out as a good technician, as a good copywriter. People like the way I wrote copies. They pay me $1,000 to write a sales letter. So that's great, but that's tactical type stuff. I think one of the things you have to do, and that's where Ashton Belk, who's our president for Huebner Marketing, is so good, and her team is so good, is they're good at the strategy piece. The strategy a lot of times is really what the client needs. They think they need the tactical part. But a lot of them, there is no strategy. All they're doing is tactics. They're just saying, well, let's just do this. Well, let's just do this. Well, why?
I agree.
You got to take a step back and say, why? Where are we going? What are we trying to achieve? What are the objectives? Then we can start talking about the strategy and then the tactics. So
totally. I like that answer. I think that's a great answer. And I think those listening, if you're in the position in your business where you're growing and you feel like you need to start siloing off that marketing department and trusting, putting a little more trust outside your company into another agency, it's a good thing to do. It's a very good thing to do because most of the time there's so many things going on in marketing that it's impossible for an internal guy to keep up with it all. And so you got to have an agency involved who you can trust, who is keeping up with it all and giving you the right feedback as to what might work and what could work in messaging your business a little bit better. Is that fair to say?
Well, for sure. And I think, you know, you also just fall into, what we fall into is the scenario of being an outsider. And just the simple fact that we can just see things. When you're on the inside of the bottle, you can't see it. When you're on the inside, you can't see things. And quite frankly, you know, in our relevancy reports that we do, it's to kind of gauge where are you most relevant. And a lot of times what you'll find is we'll have a client say, well, we think people buy from us for this reason or these reasons, this set of reasons. And then as we do the research, we find out the outsiders or the
Right.
customers, or
Right.
even other competing companies have a whole different reason they think either the competition is they're losing to that client of ours, or the customers are buying for a whole set of different reasons. And that's the value
Totally.
to having an outsider giving that input and surveying and having discussions with the
I love
people that are their key stakeholders. Because like I said, you can't see the what the outside looks like when you're on the inside of the bottle, and that's the advantage that we have is coming.
It's a
from
great
the outside.
argument.
Yeah.
It's a great argument for your business, and for any agency model out there. It truly is nice to have someone from the outside looking at your business from the perspective of, hey, I work with another 50 businesses very similar to yours. I kind of know what's going on here, and maybe you're not seeing this or that. You know what I mean?
And that's a value to being working just with manufacturers and their sales channels is we get the relationship between the sales channel, whether it's an external or an internal one. Trying to bring them together, sales and marketing.
Love it.
Getting them all on the same page. So.
Well, hey, Jim, in your business, I'm sure there's been a lot of ups and downs. It is a roller coaster ride. And who do you look at in your circle that has helped provide a little bit of stabilization or just giving you some inspiration in running and controlling your business the way that you have?
Yeah, and I couldn't recommend highly enough to any business owner to be in some kind of a peer group.
Love it.
I joined a peer group about 26 years ago, and I don't know if I would even still be in business if I hadn't had that, because when you go to a group of like-minded and in the same situation type owners, you realize, number one, they've got the same problem I got. And then number two, somebody in that group has solved the problem and they share that with everyone. And so it's just an incredible way to discuss HR issues and financial issues and sales issues and everything when you're with a group of people in the same boat as you. And so in some industries, I'm sure every industry has peer group scenarios like that, but even if you don't, like in an Insperity type group or something like that, where there's just business owners, there's just something about being able to be with a lot of other business owners that is
fascinating,
critical.
isn't it?
I can't imagine doing it without that.
Yeah.
It would be really hard. They say the agency owner is like the lighthouse keeper. It's the loneliest business in the world, or loneliest position in the world. And without a group like that, I think it is.
I love it. And I highly encourage anyone that's not part of a peer group to join one. I've been a part of several, and some of them are a lot more casual than others. And others turn into great business referral networks. I mean, it's just like, that's good. It's a great way to not only get the feedback you need to grow and scale, but also the relationships that you might need to take that next step could be in your community. You don't even know it.
Right. Yep. That's
awesome.
True. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Jim, I appreciate so much your time today.
Yeah.
Would you where are you generally present online if someone wants to follow up with you and see what's going on?
LinkedIn is probably the very easiest, and that's linkedin.com/ /JW Huebner. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. We'll put the link down below in the show notes.
Okay, Todd.
Thank you so much for being here today. We appreciate all your time and insights.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. Thanks so much.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed that interview. I just loved that personality. I mean, Jim is a great guy. We connected after the call, and we're already talking about some ways we can work together in the future, because I love his model. I love how he can help some of my clients determining their niche and determining some growth patterns and some scalability issues that they might be facing right now. I hope it helped you. The conversation was good. The conversation was insightful, and I just think that we all have so much to learn from those who've gone before us, and the adaptations he's had to make in his growth and scaling journey are going to be like the ones that you're going to have to make in yours. So enjoy the episode. Please like, subscribe, and share with anyone you think could benefit from our messaging. We are here to serve you in your growth and scaling journey, so don't hesitate to click on another episode, get on with another founder, figure out what we're all about, and we hope we can help you make the right decisions in your business to grow and scale. Thanks, and we'll see you on the next episode.